Hello and welcome back, and today we'll be doing my review on The Last of Us Season 1, Episode 1, and man, I've been so excited about this show. And first of all, this did not disappoint. The critics' reviews were mostly right, I would have to say. I do think I will be a bit more harsher than some people, as The Last of Us is one of my favourite games of all time. Seeing it adapted, I'm going to take this super seriously. So let's jump right into this. First of all, HBO, perfect place for The Last of Us adaptation. If it's any other network, they would 100% ruin this. They would have nerfed it and stuff like that, and it wouldn't be as good. So episode 1 adapts the epilogue of the game and a bit of the Boston section up until they find out the truth about Ellie. And I definitely think that's the perfect place to cut this episode, because looking at the source material, where else would you cut it for the story? So the ending's good, but the issue with this episode, for me, the biggest issue is I feel this episode is structured in a weird way. For some reason, we have the epilogue of the game be the main focus of this entire episode. We spend way too long with Sarah, I think, and it got to the point where I was like, I just want to skip it. Like the first 20-something minutes until maybe we actually started seeing the infected about half an hour into the episode. I was like, I want to skip because I do not care about Sarah. I've come to the Last of Us TV show to see Joel and Ellie not spend almost 40 minutes following Sarah around, going to school, getting the watch fixed, doing this and that, going to her neighbour's house. And I thought that was just kind of annoying. But once Joel and Tommy came back in, that's when the episode started to get good. I definitely would have cut out the entire Sarah stuff in this episode and made it down to maybe a 40-50 minute episode easily. We just didn't need that. We could have stayed with maybe the start of the episode in the morning with everyone waking up and the weird dialogue with Sarah apparently not knowing her own dad's age, so that Joel can be like, oh, I'm 36, so you can be like, okay, he's 56 in the 20-year time jump. But after that, they should have definitely just had our group leave for work and school and then have them come back and skip out the Fall of Society bit, which we saw. So I just didn't really like it. And to start off your new show with half an hour of a child walking around being boring really almost turned me off. If I wasn't a fan of the games, I might have been like, this is quite boring, skip, or just close it down and then not watch it. It was just really annoying. I definitely think they should have either cut it all and started at the night time, or have the daytime and cut to night immediately. That first half really struggled with. And making it 2003, not 2013 or 2023 was a bit weird. It's like they purposely tried to make it different. So they're like, instead of doing 2023, which would make the most sense, I feel, have it been now, they decided to say, okay, the epilogue takes place in 2003, which is just a random number they plucked out of their head. But let's move into the 20-year later part. And this part of the episode is where it gets really good. There are some issues here and there, but overall, I do really like this. I have to say, casting for Ellie, spot on, perfect. Like, there are some scenes where I'm like, yep, definitely, I see her as Ellie. She's embodied Ellie perfectly. And what we know about Bella Ramsey is she did go and watch the cutscenes. So she did way more research than Pedro Pascal did, who I'm still a bit on the fence about. I like him as Joel, but he doesn't feel like Joel yet. He feels like a cosplay of Joel. Maybe in the later episodes, I will come to see him as Joel, like I see already Tess. Even I already see Tess as Tess, and I already see Bella Ramsey's character already as Ellie. It's just Joel I'm a bit on the fence about, and I do feel overall Joel was a bit shafted a little, and he really doesn't do much the first half an hour of this episode. The first half of this episode is about his daughter. The second half is following more Tess and characters here and there around, and we do see what life is like in the Boston quarantine zone, but not much really happens. And I definitely think they should have maybe spent less time on the first half, more time on the Boston half. We have Robert be a part of the story. He's in 2 scenes and he's dead in the second scene. I'm like, Jesus, you really shot through the Boston part and spent ages on the epilogue. Maybe they should have had Robert be maybe a villain of the episode, and we would have maybe got more action, because this episode is really just a character episode, and it's just a lot of introduction and lore building and stuff like that. And This episode is fine as it is, but I feel like there's a few small things here and there which I think could be even better, or they spent too much time on or too little time on. This episode has some amazing homages to the source material / game. The people behind it, they clearly want to do something different. However, they are honouring what it is from, which is amazing, because with normal video game franchises that turn to shows or movies, the people who make them think they are better than the source material and they completely make a whole different thing. Look at the Halo show, for example, or any of the Resident Evil movies, or any video game movie or show ever. The people think, oh, Hollywood's better, and always just kind of dump on the source material. But in this, it is so good to have it be treated so well. We have some shot for shot recreations in this episode, like Joel getting his watch and Joel and Ellie's interaction when they're alone for the first time. Absolutely perfections, and basically the highlight of this episode is those few small things there. But the big changes they've made is, one, the whole kind of motivation for Joel and Tess is to go save Tommy, so it's more honourable, whereas in this game they are absolute bastards, where they're like, well, the only reason we want to get to this location and to help Ellie is because we want money, and that's the whole motivation. But maybe they just don't want Joel to be an absolute bastard. Like the main show protagonist, they don't want to be a bastard. It makes sense, so I'm not really caring about that. It's like, okay, yeah, it'd be very interesting to see their relationship, as it seems like it would be different in the show. Another change is that Frank is still alive, even though in the game he was already dead. So I'm very interested to see what they do with him. We only know he's alive because of the trailers, and they mention him alive or something like that in the episode. We haven't seen him yet, so I'm very looking forward to see what they do with Frank, because he's basically the only, that we know of yet, show exclusive character. And I do want to comment on the look of the infected. We barely see them in this episode. A game / show about zombies, and what do they do in the first episode? We have half an hour of children doing nothing, we have a bit of action in the middle, and then we have half an hour of characters walking around not doing anything again. But the way we see them, they have little tentacles coming out of their mouth. I hope that was just in that one scene, because I think it looks a little dumb. It looks like they got a squid in their mouth and they're like mid puking it out. We haven't seen them yet in the 20 years time jump, so hopefully they do look a bit better. I also really love the way this show looks. It looks absolutely gorgeous, and everything down to the minute detail looks like it's ripped straight out from the game. The outfits for everyone is just almost identical. Boston, like the little kind of quarantine zone, looks so real and lived in. We have some amazing shots. Everything looks absolutely gorgeous. It looks so real. This show, I think it was like almost like 10 million per episode. It's mad how much money they are putting into the show, and it really shows. Nothing looks cheap. Everything looks like if you break it, you got to remortgage your house. And it is just perfect. Everything down to the cinematography and the music, absolute perfection. And they used the video game theme song. I was a bit worried they weren't going to do that, but they did. Absolute perfection cinematography wise. What also really helps this episode is they weren't holding back with the acting. Every actor does their job really well. Even though I am not 100% on Pedro Pascal as Joel, he is a very good actor, and he definitely carries some scenes. He feels more like a Joel cosplay, but he still works in the scenes he is in. Very good acting all around. Overall, I would have to say this is a great episode, even though I do have some issues with the pacing and the lack of action and the shafting of certain characters, but there's still some massive wins in this with this episode. Everything cinematography wise is just complete perfection, down to the minute detail, just perfect. The costumes are perfect. It looks perfect. Everything is just perfect when you look at the screen. It feels like The Last of Us, and the show really feels like it got the love and attention it needed. It's not just the showrunners being like, oh, we have this like game source material, we're gonna do The Witcher, we hate the source material, make our own thing. No, they obviously care somewhat about the source material and they want to honor it, and that really improves it. It's very enjoyable and very fun. I do recommend, if you haven't watched already, go and watch this. Even though I am being a bit too cynical and a bit too scrutinizing with this review, I really care about the games, so I'm going to look at this and judge it quite harshly, but even me being harsh as I am, I still have to say it's a fun time, it's great, and you have to go watch it. But please tell me your thoughts down below, and what do you think about the episode? Like, what's your rating out of 10? Mine would be a 7 out of 10, which is probably quite a bit lower than some of yours. I would like to know all your thoughts and opinions down below, but if you want more content, please click on one of the videos on the screen, and make sure to like and subscribe to help out the channel. But this is it for me today, so goodbye, peace out, and I'll see you in the next video.